Hello and welcome to a special series of Blocktalk, which we're calling Blocktalk Explores. These quick listen episodes will be split by topic area, as our guests, who are all industry leaders in Scotland, will be discussing three specific industry topics. Topic number one is education and awareness of the industry and what property factors do. Number two is recruitment within the industry and any challenges that they see. And the third one is customer care. We'll release 2 episodes in week 1, and the third will be released the following week. We hope you enjoy the series, and as always, it would be great to hear your feedback. So today we're delighted to have Derek MacDonald, who was on quite early on in the podcast, or the start of the podcast. He is a co-founder and currently technical services director of Newton Property Management. He's been on a couple of times, actually. We interviewed him and then he came back on to talk about electric vehicles because it's something he's very interested in and has one himself. So totally different today, though, with these 3 things we're going to discuss. Derek, how are you? Welcome back.
It's great to see you, Brian. It's lovely for the first time to have a video facility with you. For those of you that are listening, you're not going to see this, but if you do get access to the video, you can see the inner sanctum of the factor. This is my boudoir. This is my base of operation, the Austin Powers cave. Or Dr. Evil cave, I guess. So I'm just joking, but it's good to see you and in splendid full technicolor.
Yeah, I know. We were discussing this beforehand. I have a face on radio. It was Jax that convinced me to do this. And also as well, you're facing away from your window. My window is actually, okay, the way this is mirrored. It's on my left. And we're in a basement. So when somebody walks past, I tend to look out. She always gives me grief for doing it, but never mind. Okay, right. So let's crack on. So yeah, education was something that came up in a lot of the podcasts. What are Newton doing to raise awareness of what Property Factor's role is and what the flat owner landlord's role is?
So I think this is not a new question. I mean, this question has plagued the industry for decades, really. But it's being exacerbated now in this modern age of information streams, technology, and everything else as well. So, from the property manager, from the factor's point of view, the most empowering thing that we can give to our customers is knowledge.
Yep.
If they can even have, understand a fraction of what we do, it just makes our job so much easier. It makes our relationship with our customers so much better. And ultimately that manifests in, better maintenance, better maintained properties and higher asset values, if you want to look at the bottom line. So it is a challenge. I think, from Newton's perspective, we've had a good hard look at ourselves in the mirror over the last couple of years. We've done a lot of work on this. And, we've come to the conclusion that we can certainly make improvements, and we are making those improvements. But I think more generally in the industry, there's a certain inertia about communicating, just how does everybody sit in this? What's everybody's role? And, how through the relationship between the customer and the factor, how do we get the best out of this relationship? So we're approaching this in a number of ways, but principally through supporting our staff, educating our staff, and massively improving the way that we are communicating and the frequency of the communications, and also not just the content of what we're putting out, but I think the tone of voice is really important.
Yeah.
And because when you work in a business, and factors will convince themselves that this is a massively technical operation because we get into the detail of it. Every factor that you speak to, they're really a closet solicitor. That's the kind of stuff that they love. They love the how does this piece of legislation work with that, and how does this work through? And title deeds and how does all this work? But, for the average customer, they don't necessarily want to know that level of detail. So how do we take what's important and how do we present that in a way that it's not just understandable, but it's engaging, that customers want, they don't just want to read this, they want to see more of it. And it helps, bring them along with us. So yeah, it's not a new challenge, but we really need to face up to our responsibilities here and not just do the same old thing that factors do. We need to engage. We need to really find that sweet spot that customers will enjoy receiving. Here's another letter from the factor. Well, actually, here's a letter, and it's it might not be containing everything that the customer wants to hear, but it certainly is presented in a way that they feel comfortable with, and they feel comfortable then contacting us if they have any more questions.
Yeah, no, I get it. I guess pleasing all of the people all the time is an extremely difficult thing to do, especially when you've got 200 people in a development. But also, it is that balance between what's too much and what's too little, and also making sure that the communication is positive and not, the utility companies, when they send you something, they don't ever send you something to say something nice. They just send a bill or try and sell you something else. Do you know what I mean? It's always good to get positive communication as well. Yeah, so do you think the industry could be doing more as well, just as a whole? Whether that's PMAS or IRPM or anywhere in the UK. Do you think they could do more?
Well, it's interesting you say that. I was at the IRPM conference last Thursday, actually, a week ago, in London, and you can really see, their organisation, the improvements that they've made over the last 20 years, really. Amazing. And I think, and it was also interesting, the draw that they had as an organisation, because, it was in the centre of London, so it was relatively easy, but you had government ministers, high level representation from the UK government that were turning up, to speak. And, from the Scottish perspective, I think we're a little bit more reserved when it comes to, really trying to, push the brand, if you like, of the trade association. But I think changes are coming, and actually through the organisation, you can see there's some new faces coming in with some fresh ideas. But PMAS. You talk about the trade association; it's got a really important job to do. Not only to promote the interests of its members, but by default promote the interests of the customers of the members. And it is doing that, PMAS does do a really good job, particularly when there are consultations on changes to legislation or anything like that, trying to find that balanced view that not only represents the members, but actually in the best interest of the members' customers, of which, everyone that's involved in PMAS has got a customer or two.
Okay, good. And so, any other solutions that you think could be put in place? Anything else or do you think that everyone's working towards this for the better good?
Yeah, I mean, it's really about not taking your foot off the gas. I think, we talk about the industry, we're talking about the members, we're talking about, some companies that have been around for longer than you and I have been on this planet, Brian. That's been a long time. Particularly you.
I knew you were going to say that. Yeah.
And we do. I mean, when we talk about property fitters, that it's one of these services where it's such a blessing to be a factor. And you do have relatively stable customer base. We enjoy from customers for many, many years sometimes. But with that, it also comes with a curse. We have to work really hard to maintain the relationship with the customer over a very long period of time, and that takes a lot of work. As an industry, just to keep up the momentum and don't take anything for granted, and try and keep things as fresh as possible. And I know there's a lot of companies out there that are doing that. They really are trying as hard as they can to make the experience of having a property manager or a factor, as enjoyable as it can possibly be. And that really comes to the results. How do they feel about the service? How, when they look around the property, is it well maintained? Do they feel proud to live there?
Yeah, no, I get you. Derek, well, thanks very much for coming on. That's been absolutely fabulous for having me on again, and that was some really interesting answers. Thank you.
Pleasure. Good to see you guys.
Thank you.
Bye.